With the season winding down, stakes are ramping up. And I'm not talking about the barbecue cuisine that dominates the city life here in Kansas City. Instead, I'm talking about the championship for the Precision Racing League NASCAR Truck Series. Hello and welcome to the Sunflower State, where only 10 points separate the top 2 drivers in the standings with just 3 races remaining on the calendar. Which of these drivers will find themselves at the center of a tornado of chaos, and which of them will set themselves up on the Golden Brick Road for a championship run? We're about to find out, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. High up in what I'm guessing might be the highest elevation in the entire state of Kansas, you'll find the press box here, where yours truly, Nick Schmeg, is being joined alongside by Adam Lindgren. Sean Crackers Ambrose is our storm chaser and director for tonight, and as always, he'll be using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Adam, mile-and-a-half tracks are commonly referred to as cookie-cutter tracks, but ask any driver and they'll tell you they're all unique in their own way. Why don't you tell us what makes Kansas Speedway the track we've come to know today?
Not a problem, Nick. Kansas may look like most mile-and-a-half or 2.4-kilometer tracks, but it has a couple of factors that make it unique. Located just outside of Kansas City, Kansas, the building of this NASCAR mainstay was a surprising boon to the surrounding area, helping raise a little visited suburban area outside the city into one of the highest grossing neighborhoods in the state, housing the Penn National Gaming Hotel and Casino, as well as the Richard Petty driving experience. You better get into that one, making the state of Kansas almost $250 million a year. Now, with the banking in the turns ranging from 17 to 20 degrees, and the backstretch banked at a mild 5 degrees, what really stands out about Kansas is its sweeping front stretch. Banked at anywhere from 9 to 11 degrees, and with the trucks carrying high speeds of 180 miles an hour plus through the dogleg, you really do feel like you have to turn more than you're comfortable with on this front stretch. And while that makes it unique for mile-and-a-half tracks, you'd think the sweeping nature would make it more prone to passing. But because of how much wheel you're putting into it, it really acts like a fifth turn, and while that's kind of cool to drive, it makes passing on the front stretch very difficult if you don't get a whopper of a run off turn 4 and get alongside early. Combine that with the high speeds of a mile-and-a-half oval, and you get a recipe where track position is name of the game. Now let's get down to it and move on from my monologuing and take a ride around Kansas Motor Speedway in a NASCAR Gander Series truck in our GSRC Lap Guide.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Global Sim Racing Channel. I'm Brian Yazek and this is the Kansas Speedway in the GSRC Silverado. Kansas is a unique little 1.5 mile oval track. I'll get to why it's unique in a second. It's not your traditional 1.5 mile oval. So for your hot lap, rather than digging right to that white line in turn 1, you're actually going to run the top groove. Roll out of it right there at about the Sprint Cup sign, maybe back down to about 50% throttle, but then immediately right back into the gas. You get a great run off of the corner back onto the backstretch. Going into turn 3, similar situation, but there's a very, very fine line right there that if you overdrive it, that fence will be waiting for you to not only ruin your day, but chances are ruin somebody else's day behind you. No white line rule here at Kansas. Bring it all the way down to the apron to get your hot lap. Once again, turn 1, roll out of the gas a little bit just to set the nose of the truck and then back in full throttle all the way off the corner, hugging those left side tires right onto that white line right there in the corner. Same situation in turn 3. Razor's edge here to find. Hug that white stripe that you see coming through the corner, back into the gas, and then back down the front stretch, down all the way to the front stretch grass. Kansas is just unique in that sense. The way that iRacing has done the progressive banking here, much like it's done in real life, it just lends itself to that top groove being fastest. You won't see guys here at the bottom really at any point in the run other than right off of the restart. You can hook the bottom pretty good as the car's coming up to speed. Everywhere else, you're going to see guys right up against the wall, rim riding, high, wide, and handsome. I'm Brian Yazek. Enjoy the show.
There you see a couple of laps here at Kansas Speedway. That lap guide, as well as this entire broadcast, is brought to you once again by our season-long sponsor here, Established Traffic Control. Founded in 2005, Established Traffic Control is a leader in traffic control and traffic safety in the state of Pennsylvania through maintaining great relationships and providing exceptional customer service. In addition to being able to provide all you need for traffic safety, ETC makes custom signs as well, from street signs to company logos and everything in between. These custom signs make great gifts and wall decor. You have a design, ETC can make it. Shipping is available as well. For more information, visit establishedtraffic.com or email Brendan Chatley at bchatley@establishedtraffic.com. Adam, we have just a couple races left in the season, but before we get to the points, why don't you give our viewers the inside scoop on some of the race details for this evening?
Absolutely. Round 8 here. We're getting down to it now. Only 85 laps around this track. That may seem like a short amount, but these guys are doing lap times up around the 30-second mark, so it's going to take a while for them to get around here. Max incidence right now, I believe, is still at 17, yes, and we're doing 85% fuel according to the new rules, and there is still no fast repair, and there are fixed setups around this track, so you better like what you got because you're stuck with it all night, my friends. It's going to be tire strategy and fuel conservation as the way of the game tonight. All right, Nick, after kind of a chaotic session at Dover last week, what are our points looking like right now?
Yeah, definitely points winding down here. Everyone trying to scrounge up as much as possible. You mentioned that one drop week. I'll get to that in just a second, and I usually read the points starting at first and going down to fifth. Tonight, I'm going to start back at fourth. Two drivers are tied there, Charles Sumner and Colton Lane, 40 points back from Bradley Holly. Rob Haynes is there third, William Hartman second. The reason I leave Bradley Holly here with a 10-point lead for last is to say it looks like he is not here tonight, so this is going to be his drop week. And it's going to be very interesting to see what William Hartman can make up on him. With that being said, we do have a team's championship to follow as well.
Yeah, definitely, Nick. And, talking about drop weeks, most of these teams have already used their drop weeks, as you can see next to that teardrop on the team standings. So this is going to be a significant impact in the team's championship, with Texas Racing hosting Bradley Holly as their number one driver, it sure seems like right now. And so that puts Savage Drive in position for a really good night if they can stay out of trouble. And Forever Coupless Racing coming in third, only about 11 points behind. That puts Car Ramrod and Back Row Racing back in the fourth and fifth spots. None of those positions changed between last week and this week, but everything did tighten up a little bit. Savage Drive is in position for a good night tonight.
Absolutely. It's going to be very interesting to see. This might be a perfect night for some drivers to make up a lot of spots. Qualifying wrapping up here in about 90 seconds from now. William Hartman sits on the pole by 5 one-thousandths of a second over Thomas Sink. Got a 20 truck field tonight, looks like.
All right, we're taking a look right now at Charles Sumner. He just completed his lap of 31.018. That's quite a bit down from the leaders. Nicholas Delp, 31.03. The fastest guys are in the 30.3 range, so these guys are going to have a little bit of work to do on their second laps to try and make up that time. And it looks like they're going to come in. We'll see what Nicholas Delp gets right here. He crosses the line with a 30.48. That's going to slot him back to 11th position.
And make that 12th because Charles Sumner just jumped up to 9th with a 4.72. Ronald McManus looks like on his cooldown lap there, he rides back in 17th right now. Looks like that might be all we've got. Robert Malikian actually on track. Looks like he's going to take that to the pits. He sits back in 11th. You mentioned how difficult passing is here. I imagine track position going to play a factor in this one for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Track position is definitely the name of the game here, and getting a good start is going to be really important too. This is the first night race we've had in a while, so these drivers are going to be dealing with some different conditions than they're used to. So as we go to the grid, they'll be definitely thinking about getting that good start.
Absolutely, and the driver with the best start looks to be William Hartman. He sits on the pole once again, like I said, by 5 one-thousandths of a second over Thomas Sink to his outside. Eric Roberts, Jake Hounshell going to make up row 2 with Rob Haynes, Brendan Chatley right behind them. Austin Hunter is going to roll off P7. P8 goes to the 60 of Colton Lane. Charles Sumner slots in behind him in 9th place, and Alec Lumpkin will round out the top 10.
Starting on the first spot in row 6 is Robert Malikian. We have some surprises down here in the bottom of the field, like the likes of Nicholas Delp starting on the outside of row 6 and John LaBaff on the inside of row 7. That's quite a bit far back for them and the likes of Robert Bassad Jr. Then we have Mike Richter starting in 15th position. Adam Zemke, a name we do not recognize, probably a new runner right now, in 16th position. Ronald McManus back at 17th. Ray Richer in 18th. Jason Hounshell in 19th. And Jason Eisenhower, who did not set a time, may start in 20th.
And it looks like Eisenhower might be a did not start as well for this thing. But regardless, 19 trucks are going to roll to the green flag here. They make their way onto the backstretch. You mentioned, Adam, this is where drivers can get a lot of passing done, get a couple of runs onto here. See multiple lanes sometimes in these turns.
Yeah, definitely. The backstretch is the place where you want to do your passes, but turn 1 feels quite a bit tighter than turns 3 and 4. So you want to get a good run out of turns 1 and 2 in order to get a good setup onto the backstretch. You're not going to be able to set it up going down the front stretch. So most of the passing we're going to be seeing is due to better tire situation for these guys. So they're really going to have to load it up and get ready to go coming off of 1 and 2.
They are getting ready to go indeed into the restart zone. The green flag waves here at Kansas Speedway. It is William Hartman going all the way down to the apron, but a great start from Thomas Sink right to his outside. They storm out of the tri-oval and down into turns 1 and 2. Sink with a big run onto the outside, but let's see what Hartman can do with the preferred line.
Trucks are still building up speed. They got up to almost 190 miles an hour down the straights. As Thomas Sink holding strong on the outside and Roberts holding strong on the inside. We'll see who gets the preferred line coming out of 3 and 4 here as they go too wide further back as well.
Hartman starts to nose ahead just a little bit. Sink washes up a little bit coming out of turn 4. It's going to be William Hartman at the line that time by 6/100ths of a second.
Definitely, and Rob Haynes slotting into the 3rd position now. He was able to move up from his 5th position start, so he was making good use of that inside line. Looks like the inside line starting to be preferred, but Thomas Sink is coming back on the outside. We'll see whether he can hold it through 3 and 4 here.
Looks like Hartman might be able to clear him. He drops down to the apron all the way down to the grass. You can go down there. It's just kind of sketchy sometimes trying to get back up on the track. Now we see Hartman go high here in turns 1 and 2. Try to get that big run onto the backstretch.
Yeah, and they're already thinking about tire conservation. It looks like that high line is a good way to save tires. Going down low is going to burn off your tires faster and your speed, so that's not what you want to do if you want to save time. Looks like the 59 of Brendan Chatley clips the apron going through 3 and 4, and that's going to back him up significantly into the grass with Colton Lane and Charles Sumner.
Yeah, Chatley had just about made it 3 wide on the bottom of Eric Roberts and Jake Hounshell for 4th and 5th, and that did not result well for him. He now has to fend off the likes of Colton Lane, like you said, behind him.
If we could go back to the 10th position now, Austin Hunter is stuck on the bottom, and he is dropping back significantly. He's stuck back there and having a real trouble getting up to that high line. This is becoming a drafting track in these first couple of laps here, and that's no surprise at the high speeds that we're seeing as he's now stuck down beneath the likes of Nicholas Delp.
And Nicholas Delp with a handful himself to worry about. John LaBeouf in his rear view mirror on his bumper. Mike Richter not too far behind him. Now you see Delp drop to the bottom of Lumpkin. A big run off the backstretch there.
Yeah, these guys are really fighting it out for track position right now as we're on board with Delp. Looking back, take a look at John LaBeouf, who's dropped down to the bottom there, and he gets crossed up by the likes of Alec Lumpkin there. He's going to hold his line and hold his speed and just take his hands off the wheel there and let the truck drive itself. That's going to give him good speed into 1 and 2, but we'll see what he can make of it coming out of the corner.
Lumpkin right in front of LaBeouf. LaBeouf having to duck out so he doesn't run him over. Down into turn 3. LaBeouf has help from Richter behind him.
Yeah, Richter and Malikian are both getting in line with him right now, and they're going to see whether they can LaBeouf pass Lumpkin, but Lumpkin's got the currently preferred and drafted lane up there at the top. Everyone from the top 10 all the way on the top right now behind William Hartman in the lead.
We may want to go back up to that lead. William Hartman starting to feel some pressure here from Thomas Sink. Not only Sink, though, but Rob Haynes as well is right there. They run nose to tail, follow the leader up here.
Yeah, they're really, really close. Almost like a super speedway up here, bumper to bumper on through these corners. These guys are maintaining a really high rate of NOS right now. Almost 190 miles an hour as they go down the back stretch. These guys are cranking right now. They're cranking off fast laps. I thought this might have been a little bit more tire conservation, but they're doing really good as we're on board with Thomas Sink looking back at Rob Haynes.
Yeah, you can see Rob Haynes there, but also Houndshell, Roberts, Chatley, Lane all behind him, slotting in line. Hartman leading this freight train around here right now.
We actually have a little bit of a holdup there here at about 5th position with Jake Houndshell and Eric Roberts side by side now as they're going into 3 and 4. This happened because I believe it was Eric Roberts got a little bit tight going up through the corner, and that backed everyone off, and that put the like of Jake Houndshell down on the bottom of the track now. We'll see whether he's going to slot up in front of Brendan Chatley right now. He doesn't have the room, so he's stuck on the bottom through 1 and 2.
Looks like Colton Lane right behind him may have gotten into the wall just a little bit as well following them. He's falling back a couple spots now. Sumner and Delp go by in front of him. I think he might have smacked the wall in turn 1 and 2 running that high line.
Yeah, he's scraping it coming out of the corner. If we take a look on board, these trucks are going to be a little tight with these cold conditions. If they don't wear off those rear tires a little bit, they're going to be struggling a little bit to try and get a rear turned here through these corners. Sometimes with fixed setups, you have to manage the truck by burning off a tire like the right rear, and that has a benefit for a little bit, but that's going to be a big sacrifice as you start to run into loose conditions later on in a run.
Absolutely. First night race of the season, like you mentioned, and as we take a look at P4 here, Roberts fending off Houndshell, fending off Brendan Chatley. You can see them all swing up high to that top line of the racetrack, the top groove here right up against the wall. Try to get that big run plus the draft down the backstretch. Great run for Houndshell there.
Yeah, we're starting to see breakouts of packs of 3 trucks here and there. The front 3, then we have 4th through 6th as well. And then we've got a pack of 3, well, a pack of 4 back to 10th position with Delp through Labatt. And so it's interesting to see how these trucks are starting to break out into more smaller packs as we get further into this run here.
Let's take a look back towards 11th place. This is Mike Richter. Another group of 3, like you mentioned. Jason Houndshell actually now going to dive to the bottom of the 51. Robert Malikian is that bright green truck right behind him in the 18.
Yeah, this is our first attempted pass in open air, and it looks like it's not really having the success that he's really looking for. He has to drop back in line. And also, we have a pretty tight battle up there for the lead as well, with Thomas Sink trying to make a move on William Hartman.
Oh, he got a big run out of turn 2, it looked like there. Gets a little slipstream from the 67 of Hartman, but not enough to carry him forward.
Yeah, Thomas Sink's been content to ride behind Hartman, but last lap he really dove it to the bottom down the front stretch trying to get a run and almost got alongside him into 1 and 2. It's not necessarily the place where you want to get a good run. You want to get a run off the backstretch here. We see he's got a little bit of a better line coming out of the corner, and he's going to get a pretty decent run down the backstretch, but it's not going to be enough to get below him into 3 and 4.
Right on board with Sink. Just watch here how close he can get to Hartman, but he can't quite get around him. Like you said, he kind of stalls out once he gets up there. Just gets nailed with that wall of air. Looks like we might have a pass for 4th place. Jake Houndshell trying to make his way around Eric Roberts. And he got really tight.
He got really tight. Eric Roberts got up into the wall with his rear end a little bit, and that allows the likes of Brendan Chatley to go by. Brendan Chatley's going to pick up 5th position off of Jake Houndshell's misfortune. That shows that you really have to be decisive and make sure you are able to complete the pass before you even attempt it. Otherwise, you're just going to go backwards. And with track position meaning so much in this race, that's a risk a lot of drivers are not going to be willing to take.
Take a look at this replay here. Jake Houndshell, like you said, he had the pass around Eric Roberts, wasn't able to complete it, and that not only cost him not gaining a spot, but he lost that to Chatley here. You see him wash up the track there, get really tight. Chatley just dives down, and it's a textbook move for him.
That seemed more like evasion for Chatley, honestly, because he was really struggling to deal with tightness off the corner. But now Jake Hounshell looks like he's coming back up to the back of Chatley. Oh, wow! And look at that! It's Eric Roberts stuck in the outside wall. He's hit it severely, and he's now significantly off pace.
Yeah, we right on board with him. That was an odd hit. I mean, we've seen trucks on the outside line scrape the wall, but he just got sucked in there.
That's something that we used to see back in the NASCAR 2003 days. Yeah, it washes up off the corner there. If we go back, we're going to take a look now, riding on board. Yeah, he just washes up off the corner and then just gets stuck in that outside wall, can't get it turned down. And that allows the almost 3, 4, 5 trucks let by him.
Yeah, he was running 4th. He's now fallen back to 10th. Mike Richter just got around him in the 51. He's got a little bit of a 2-truck battle behind him as well going on. Jason Hounshell, Robert Malikian. Malikian down on the apron.
Yeah, Hounshell's trying to make it work up top. That seems to be the preferred line to save your tires. But looks like Malikian has a decent truck there down on the bottom. And so he's been able to save his tires or figure out some way to wear the tires in so that that bottom line is not a problematic line for him right now, but he goes back up to the top, and Austin Hunter takes a peek beneath him, but has to fall back in line coming off the corner.
Back up in 4th place, that has been a gift to Brendan Chatley, and he is really starting to struggle to hold off Jake Hounshell behind him, it looks like.
Yeah, he got tight off of 1 and 2 and hit the wall a little bit, just like we saw with Eric Roberts, and that's going to allow the like of Jake Hounshell. He's going for a slide job, but he just can't complete it. They're going to get tight, and they make contact off of 3 and 4, but that's going to warp Chatley, allow Hounshell to get by. Let's see whether he brings Nicholas Delp with him.
He brought Delp at least to the bottom side, but Hounshell's going to stick it back up top. He clears Brendan Chatley. What can Nicholas Delp do now on the bottom? All by himself. You see that big run, the momentum swing back to those 2 drivers on the outside. Delp's got no choice but to go out there and follow up.
Yeah, that's something that Chatley's not going to appreciate, getting forced up high and getting his nose clipped a little bit by Jake Hounshell. It'll allow Hounshell to make the pass, but that's not making any friends on track. And as we saw last week, having friends on track is going to make a big difference in these races.
Nicholas Delp, one of our big movers tonight, actually started back in 12th, and we've seen how difficult passing is, so very impressive that he's gotten up here to 6th place. He's cut that in half.
We're taking a look down now at Austin Hunter. Austin Hunter under pressure from Ray Richter, pardon me, as they look back, and they're actually looking onto a battle ahead of them between Mike Richter and Colton Lane as well. This whole pack in the back has not sorted out since the drop of the green flag. 2 by 2 for quite a ways back now, all of them really tight, all of them trying to gain valuable track position.
Yeah, for 10th place, Eric Roberts, who hit the wall a few laps ago, still trying to hold off losing more positions. This is Jason Hounshell trying to get around him here for 10th.
And Austin Hunter got quite a bit high. Yeah, Austin Hunter got quite a bit high coming off of 3 and 4 there and clipped the wall. He's got some significant right side damage, actually, to his right front wheel well, which is going to be problematic as he gets passed by Ray Richter, but he's got to run now, but he's trapped on the high side by John LaBaff. That's going to bunch up everybody in that line, and that's going to allow the likes of Ray Richter to drop back down in front. But John LaBaff drifting up right in front of Austin Hunter. That's about as close as you can get off the corner.
Look at the slide by Austin Hunter. He goes back down to the bottom. It's going to be 3 wide here. That's Adam Zemke on the outside there in the 7 truck. Following LaBaff right now on the outside line. He's going to maybe peek his nose up there. Yeah, Robert Basaw Jr. behind him as well.
Yeah, Austin Hunter wisely backed out of it, knowing that he was going to get tight and push up into the rest of them, decided to let them have the run here. and he decided to back out and let these guys run. He knows he has damage, I believe.
Adam Zemke, the newcomer to the series out of Illinois, putting on a great show right now, trying to get around more spots here. John LeBaff is going to allow him the room. Look at how tight they get in. Basal on the bottom.
Wow, that was a commanding position take from Adam Zemke. He just stuck it up there. I don't think John LeBaff believed he was going to go that far to the outside, but he takes the Austin line and just races around the outside there. Amazing move from Zemke, our newcomer.
LeBaff continues to be stuck on the outside here. This time, though, it's Robert Basal Jr. down on the bottom.
Looks like LeBaff got a good run there that time out of 1 and 2, and he's going to push up. Looks like we have Alec Lumpkin in the pits. An interesting development here. Early pit taker here. Maybe he's decided that this is his point where he's going to get fuel, and so now he's going to take likely 4 tires. We'll see what his pit stop is, and we'll report it back to you.
Looks like he has a little bit of right front damage as well as we jump you back up to further up in the field. 4th place, Jake Hounshell. Fending off Brendan Chatley and Nicholas Delp. That was a 4 tire and stop in fuel, by the way, for Lumpkin there.
And Robert Malikian is in. Rob Haynes is into the pits. It looks like the pit stop cycle has begun now for the people, at least in the back half of the track, as we take a look right now with Rob Haynes as he goes down pit road. Robert Malikian in the pits as well. He's taking 4 tires and fuel, and he's going to pull off now. These pit stops are taking a little bit longer tonight than usual, so these guys are definitely filling up with fuel to the end of the race, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's so critical for them. They have an 85% fuel limit.
Malikian in his box for quite a while, actually. He's been in there for 36 seconds and counting. This is a very long stop for Malikian as we go back up to 4th and 5th. Brendan Chatley holding up the likes of Nicholas Delp here as we go back onto the backstretch.
We've seen all night so far through the first 30 laps of this race how difficult passing is. We might be able to see some people undercutting here in the pits on their fuel strategy. They might want to think about that before they get too risky here on track.
I'll be interested to see when the likes of William Hartman, Thomas Sink, and Jake Hounshell, our top 3, decide to pit. As we go back and we go take a look at Hartman now. Hartman leading this race commandingly for a while, but he has not been able to pull a gap on Thomas Sink. Thomas Sink still only about 4 tenths behind him. So that's an interesting thing to think about. Thomas Sink showed this last week as well when he was able to hold on to the likes of the leaders and make an interesting pit call. So as we go on board with Sink, he's just biding his time, I believe. I don't think that he doesn't have the pace to catch Hartman. I just think that he knows that he's in a good position. He's going to wait out there for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw William Hartman get his first win of the season finally last week at Dover. Thomas Sink still looking for that first win. Not fighting for a championship at this point, but still in it for the checkered flags.
I have some good news and some bad news for the people who have taken pit stops. It looks like the lap speed difference between... Oh, here we go as we go into P3. Wow, these guys are actually very close now. It looks like we've got another challenger now as Nicholas Delp climbs onto the back now. And Jake Hounshell's lost 3rd position to Brendan Chatley.
Yeah, Chatley was able to get around him, and it looks like Hounshell not only is going to lose that, Nicholas Delp is looking awfully fast right now. Not able to get it done there. In fact, Hounshell, as soon as I say that, gets a great run off of turn 4. Gets a little bit of tow from the back of Brendan Chatley down onto the apron, and they dive up into turn 1 once again.
Interesting development right here as the early pitters are about a second a lap faster than the leaders. So these leaders have about 30 laps before they have to really think about it, because the first people to take tires and fuel, Rob Haynes, is a full lap down with Alec Lumpkin 2 laps down. So these guys up here know that they're pretty safe for pit strategy so far.
Hounshell continues to hold off Delp. Let's take a look back at 13th. This is John LaBaff and Robert Bassaw Jr. LaBaff stuck on the outside, and that 89 truck of Alec Lumpkin has taken a pit stop. He's 2 laps down and on fresher tires.
Yeah, this is the battle that won't die. John LaBaff and Robert Bassaw Jr. have been fending each other off for a good portion of these 36 laps, and these two guys have been duking it out. And as we get the 89 car of Alec Lumpkin coming through, this might or might not break up the battle, but these two guys are definitely not done fighting for the night.
Oh, Nick Delp might have the run he needs. He's on the bottom now, back up in 4th place to try to get around Houndshell. He's not going to do it there. Houndshell once again holds him off from the outside. Incredible stuff.
As we go on board with Nicholas Delp, it's interesting to see how these guys are trying to handle this situation. Delp looking like he's going to get a run here. He's going to... Oh, he decides better than to take a look at Jake Houndshell going into 3 and 4. We'll see if he sets him up for the front stretch. Not a great place to pass, but sometimes it works for you as he goes to the outside and gets a good run. We'll see whether he dives down below Houndshell. Houndshell goes to the white line, actually, and allows Nicholas Delp to stay up on the track.
Houndshell going to go down low there on the apron, but he's going to come up in front of him before he lets Delp on the outside in turns 1 and 2. That would be a costly mistake, I think, for the O2 machine. He fends him off through 1 and 2 once again on the backstretch.
I can report the 911 of John LaBaff is on with the likes with the likes of Robert Bassaw Jr. and he's now back in the pits now, getting his 4 tires in fuel. So he's got to hit for a little bit less fuel than the rest of the guys, most likely, to make it to the end now.
Ooh, Delp looks like may have just gotten into the wall a little bit, but didn't lose him any time at all. He's taking it back down to the bottom of the track.
And that's just not going to work for him. He's having a hard time getting past, and this is the big struggle with these 1.5 mile ovals, and especially Kansas with that sweeping front straight. It's really hard to... There's only one place to make a very convincing pass, and that is definitely the backstretch, rather. And wow, as we take a look now, as one of the pitted cars going by him right now, Rob Haynes trying to claw his way back up. He's got a long way to go to get himself back onto the lead lap.
And Hartman's in. Hartman comes sliding into pit lane.
Jake Houndshell looks like he might get a pit road speeding penalty due to that slide coming into the pit lane. These truck drivers, as the 28 also goes around. Everyone having trouble getting onto pit road. Eric Roberts.
Let's take a look back at Eric Roberts coming in. He came in real hot. Did a little Kansas landscaping here.
All right, so almost everyone's in the pits now. We got Chatley, we got Delp. Rob Haynes has taken his pit stop and is still going around the track now, filtering back out into 10th position. Thomas Sink is left out on track, having not pitted, as well as Jason Houndshell, Robert Bassaw Jr., and then Brendan Chatley is our latest pit road taker.
Thomas Sink coming in. And you know what? I think he ran out of gas on his pit entry lap. He's got to coast to his box. This is a terrible situation for Thomas Sink. Stayed out 1 lap too long. Heard the truck start to sputter on the backstretch, and it wasn't able to get the beverage it needed.
Oh, he may not make it. He may not make it.
Jason Houndshell going to go around him, as well as Bassaw. Oh, it's painful to look at.
I don't think Sink's going to make it to his box.
I think he had a leaky faucet.
Yeah, engine's out. He's got nothing unless he's mapped his starter button and can roll on the starter. He's going to have trouble getting to his box for sure. Rob Haynes, after all that, has filtered back out to the lead now.
This is one of those times where you wish you didn't qualify as well as you did. He might make it. He's down into the single digits in terms of speed. I think he's going to make it.
Awful. It's going to feel awful after going around the track at 180, 190 miles an hour as he crawls into his box and finally makes it in. What? He's going to be thinking his lucky stars.
So with that, Rob Haynes has retained the lead.
He's taken it by 8.5 seconds.
Yeah.
With that pit stop, that is a significant margin. Now, granted, his tires are significantly worse off as far as pit stop time. So he pitted on lap 29. William Hartman pitted recently on lap 41. That tire strategy will come into play as William Hartman chops off almost half a second last lap.
Yeah, that's a 13 lap, about 20 miles difference on the odometer for those tires for Rob Haynes over William Hartman. And you can already see Hartman. You mentioned it was an 8-second gap. Well, it's now 7.5 seconds.
Hartman's coming with a massive head of steam, and his closest challenger behind him, Brendan Chatley, 6.5 seconds behind.
Ooh.
Hartman, after this big battle, after Thomas Sink's unfortunate events, he has really come out ahead of the game, and if he can catch up to Rob Haynes, providing there isn't a caution, he's going to be home free for quite a ways.
We'll keep an eye on that as we take one quick look here at 8th place. This is a 3-truck battle, actually. Ray Richer, Adam Zemke, and Jake Hounshell following him. Man, Hounshell fell a lot there in the pits. Back to 10th.
Yeah, we've got more fresh tires here as watch how fast these guys go around the track. Adam Zemke up there in the Austin Dillon lane, and Ray Richer taking a traditional line through 3 and 4. But look at the speed that allows Zemke to get off the corner, and he's going to be right up to the bumper of Richer as they go into 1 and 2. Thomas Sink may be back quite a few positions, but he just turned in the fastest lap of the race, a 30.4 flat. This guy is cranking, and he's trying to make his way back up the field. But from 2 laps down, that's a tall order.
It is indeed. Adam Zemke, we've seen him make quite the name for himself tonight in his debut already. He's going to take it to the outside here over Ray Richer. I think he might be able to peek in the fender just a little bit. Maybe not. Let's see if the 68 comes up in front of him. Yeah, he's going to give him space, actually.
With that speed and the preferred high line in order for Adam Zemke, he's going to go straight by and up into 8th position, and that allows the like of Jake Hounshell to follow him through on the high side as well.
Not the lap Ray Richer would have liked to see, falling from 8th back to 10th. I think we had a pass back for 11th just behind him as well. I believe Robert Basaw Jr. got around Austin Hunter. These are the last 2 trucks on the lead lap.
We're going to take a replay here and take a look at that pass here. As we take a look at the 44 truck of Robert Basaw Jr., he just dives it straight to the bottom, and Austin Hunter's been struggling on that top side all night. And so we're going to take a look here. Robert Basaw Jr. just holding it well off the corner, dives it down to the apron, and completes the pass.
Yeah, it's a great run. A great run to, be able to get that done on the front stretch as well. You mentioned that sweet, long, sweeping front stretch here at Kansas makes it difficult for passes, but he got down to the apron, got right up, hugged that grass, and great pass there for Basaw.
I'm sorry, I'm just completely blown away. If we go back up to P2, William Hartman now has closed the gap to 4 seconds on Rob Haynes. This man is on a charge. He's looking for the lead, and he is not going to stop until he gets it. He is cranking in fast lap after fast lap. This guy is on a tear.
Oh, John LaBaff saw that he was on a tear there. He almost got in the way. Coming out of turn 2, that was. Now back down into 3 and make that turn 4. Rob Haynes, he's got to be checking his relative box and seeing that number shrink, seeing that gap shrink.
And with Rob Haynes scurrying as fast as he can, William Hartman on the hard charge, that leaves only 12 trucks on the lead lap now. None of these guys have had significant issues, and we haven't had a lot of cautions aside from Thomas Sink's trouble in the pits. No one's been struggling tonight, but this pace is cranking.
I also hope that Rob Haynes has enough fuel to make it to the end. I think it might be tight if we saw Thomas Sink run out that early. With that 85% fuel limit, a lot of these drivers holding it flat open for, especially when they're on fresh tires.
Yeah, I'll be honest, there probably isn't a way for Haynes to make it there. As we go to P7 now with Mike Richter, he's actually just gotten passed by the likes of Thomas Sink 2 laps down. Thomas Sink roaring out ahead as Adam Zemke, with his speed on that high line, making it work, staying up there and getting good runs off the corner. He's going to do it again and go around the high side of Mike Richter again, just like we saw him do on the BAF earlier. Zemke, he's found a strategy to make passing work here at Kansas, and he's really putting down the laps.
Zemke might be the #1 passer of the evening. Look at the 0-2, though, of Houndshell. He's going to go through the middle. They're going to be 3 wide, coming off of turn 4 and back down to the tri-oval. Richter goes down to the apron, still 3 wide as they head down into turn #1.
Fantastic opportunistic move from Houndshell. He's going to put the slide job here on Zemke, but Zemke's going to have a good run off the corner, but he's going to be tight, so he has to put on the brakes, and that allows the like of Richter to stay in position. He's trapping Houndshell up top, and as well as Zemke.
Will Zemke slip through the middle here? It looks like he's going to stay high. He likes that line up there. The 51 of Richter staying down low. He tried to wash up in front of him. Didn't quite have the room. Don't forget right behind him, Ray Richer, slowly creeping into the picture as well in the 68 truck.
You may be wondering why Jake Houndshell is down here in 7th when he was up in 3rd position before the pit stops. He had a 30-second pit stop. That's twice the amount of time that most everyone else has. And Rob Haynes in the pit now. He's taking a 2nd pit stop now. Looks like his gamble for a caution did not pay off.
Yeah, Haynes must be seeing that his tires are not going to hold off the likes of William Hartman and more. Let's keep our attention here on Adam Zemke, just tearing his way through the field here. He now trying to chase down Jake Houndshell, who's looked awfully fast. Like you said, bad pit stop may have cost him some spots, but not the speed.
Yeah, definitely, and all this battling has made this group bunch up a little bit as they exit 3 and 4 and go down here as they cross the start-finish line. These guys have been battling mostly all night, even before the pit stops, so it's good to see everyone's had some good fortune here with the pit stops and that they're all back out about where they should be now. But believe it or not, William Hartman only about 10 seconds behind this pack and is closing fast.
Yeah, we only have 11 trucks on the lead lap. Austin Hunter is in 11th. He's the next to go a lap down, and Hartman's not going to show any mercy, I don't think. He has really been logging them off. As he comes through this time by, it's going to be 25 laps to go for the 67 driver, looking for 2 wins in a row.
Well, it looks like the likes of the 18 truck, who is that? Robert Malikian got into the high wall there, and wow, Thomas Sink is on the bottom of on the apron now. I think he's pitting again. No, he just got stuck on the bottom there and clipped the apron a little bit.
Let's take a look at this replay here.
That was interesting. I think Thomas Sink just got a little bit out of sorts there through 3 and 4.
Well, he's going to stay out. He rides in 16th. A lap down. It was 2 laps down, now 1 lap down. So I suppose that's forward progress for the 48 truck. Good battle here between Richter and Richer for 8th place. Their names are similar, and so is their speed.
Yeah, as they go by here, they've been this battle has been kind of shaping up over the last 5 laps. These two guys quite similar on pace here as they go by the 18 truck of Robert Malikian, who's been struggling there on the high side. That's going to actually slow up Richter as he gets off the corner. Wow! And there goes Malikian, who clipped the outside wall coming off of 1 and 2, and he's now very slow on the bottom through 3 and 4.
Malikian already 2 laps down, not having the night he'd like to. We take a look at this once again. Back live, the 51 of Richter.
And we take a look at LaBaff now. John LaBaff, who's back there in the 13th position, battling with Eric Roberts. These two guys still stuck together now.
LaBaff right now working his way around Brendan Chatley, not on the same lap as him. Roberts about 3/4 of a second behind him. Let's jump back to this battle between Mike Richter and Ray Richer. Richter on the top side here through 3 and 4, and Robert Basaw Jr. has joined the battle as well from 10th place in that 44 truck behind him. Richer down to the apron here. Richter gonna hug that white line.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how these lines develop and who prefers the top and who prefers the bottom. Well, I've been seeing the likes of Alex Zemke rolling around the top side. Not everyone's comfortable being up there so close to the wall with how tight these trucks are off the corner. And so the likes of Ray Richer deciding to take it to the low side, and Mike Richter's going to join him this lap, trapping Robert Basaw Jr. in the middle lane behind.
Richter going to have to follow him for now. He dives it down to the apron a little earlier than Richter. Basaw Jr. going to be loyal to the top groove. A lot of these drivers taking that middle line.
Yeah, Richter tries the top side. That time didn't really work for him, but it did help him defend against Robert Basaw Jr. So Richter, the sandwich between these two guys, has to worry about both what's in front of him and what's in his rearview mirror.
We were just talking a moment ago about how it looked like Hartman was going to lap more and more trucks. Actually, it's been the opposite. Rob Haynes has just unlapped himself. And William Hartman, his gap back to Brendan Chatley for first and second, that has shrunk to 2.5 seconds. So that might be an indication that Hartman's tires might be going on him a little early here.
And Brendan Chatley only pitted 1 lap after William Hartman, but that 1 lap seems to be making a significant dent. And remember that Hartman was charging after a truck up ahead of him just a couple laps ago, so he's burnt his tires off, and the likes of Brendan Chatley, who may have been managing his stuff better, is able to close the gap now as we go on board with Brendan Chatley.
Yeah, 2 laps ago, Chatley was able to shave off 0.3 of a second in 1 lap. It's a pretty substantial margin to gain on Hartman. Brendan Chatley.
Battle for P8 again. Ray Richter's gone to the inside of Mike Richter again through 1 and 2, trying to make it work. And it's not going to work this time either. Richter's really got better runs off the corner, but Mike Richter's able to position his truck in a way that doesn't allow Richter to pass.
Yeah, Richter really aggressive on that bottom lane here. Richter having to go down to the bottom that time around through 3 and 4 to try to defend. Oh, Richter's got a good run here, though, onto the apron. On the front stretch through the tri-oval. Is he going to be able to clear him through 1 and 2? He's got a lot of speed. He's going to slide up in front of him. Looks like the 51 might have the momentum.
I'm surprised that Richter didn't do a slide job there and put his bumper right in front of Richter, but I guess maybe he thinks that he can get him through the bottom of 3 and 4. We'll see what happens here as Mike Richter has the preferred line on the top and is able to steam off the corner and continue to maintain that position.
Little bit of understeer there for the 68 of Richter. Wasn't able to do it. He's got to be careful. He doesn't want to lose a spot to Robert Basaw Jr. by failing to get around Mike Richter for 8th place. Basaw Jr. just sitting back there waiting for something to happen. We're at Kansas. I guess it's fitting to call that the popcorn position.
And you gotta wonder how long Ray Richer can continue to battle here. He's gonna be burning off his tires more and more with each lap, and we're seeing him get more and more understeer off the corners. His runs are disappearing earlier and earlier, so it'll be interesting to see whether Richer can keep it up to the end of the race and whether he can make this pass on Richter.
Man, Richer's still working the bottom line. I'm surprised he hasn't burnt up his tires more than he already has. The Tundra of Richer trying to get around the Silverado of Richter. Right on board here with Basaw Jr.
Definitely, he's really in that popcorn position now, just looking on, really enjoying the ride, I think, in 10th position. He's just waiting for these two to get side by side, and maybe he can get an advantage here. He's riding that middle lane, as they all do for 1 and 2 right now, and really just, I think, probably just biding his time and waiting for these two to sort it out.
Well, the laps are continuing to wind down for these drivers. Oh, Richer this time going to go jump to the outside. Try to get a run there. It looks like he might have stalled out. Maybe a little late there on that maneuver. Richter, though, down to the bottom. This is interesting. This is different.
Yeah, different attempt here, but Richer's a little bit too tight to get a good run, but now they both have a good run. Basaw's got a good run on Richer, and Richer's got a good run on Richter. Here goes Richer to the bottom lane through 3 and 4. This hasn't worked out for him in the past. We'll see whether he keeps his foot in it, as Basaw looks like he's got a great run there on the outside.
Basaw does indeed have a run. He's got his nose to the outside a little bit on Ray Richer. Is he going to have the momentum through 1 and 2? Because Richer's going to go down back to the bottom. Basaw Jr. going to try to dime in the corner just a little bit as they continue to follow Richter. Might be side by side for that 9th place position. Basaw Jr. this time goes to the bottom.
Richer extremely unstable down the backstretch there. I think he was trying to decide how to defend against Basaw Jr., but he takes that high line, and Basaw Jr. takes it all the way to the apron there. Looks like he's going to be able to hold that position.
Let's check on the leader, William Hartman. We were watching this gap shrink. It's down to a 1.5 seconds with just 8 laps to go here at Kansas.
And it's also just a 1.5 seconds back from Chatley in second to Delp in 3rd position. So, but all 3 of these top 3 positions could change by the end of this race.
Absolutely. The podium still at stakes here. Looks like we have another pitter here. Austin Hunter back on.
As we take a look at Austin Hunter on pit road, John LaBaff is also on pit road. So interesting to see that these guys are thinking that they're not able to make it to the end of the race. That's something that we didn't think about, as LaBaff rolls off pit road now and tries to get up to speed now on this cold track.
Yeah, they're just going to need a tiny little splash of fuel. We saw a lot of these drivers pit just slightly before halfway, and then the next lap around, Thomas Sink ran out of fuel, so that might be a little disconcerting as we take a look back once again at P8. Absolutely. Rob Haynes on fresh tires out of the pits has joined the party out of nowhere. He's caught them all off guard, and in 1 lap, he's going to go from 11th up to 8th. Wow.
That's what the likes of fresh tires do. Rob Haynes turning in laps in the 30.5 range, whereas these guys are turning in laps more like in the 32.5 range. Has quite a significant difference on tires.
And with all that, Richer still not able to get around Mike Richter in front of him. He may have hit the apron just a little bit there. Now he's going to go back down to the apron, try to get a run through the tri-oval. But time winding down.
These 3 just will not separate. It'll be interesting to see whether anyone can make it on fuel with this many people diving into the pits now. As we, oh my goodness, here comes John LaBaff to make it spicy. He's going to make it, he's decides better than to make it 3 wide. I thought he was diving for that middle lane. He's just going to go around the top, I believe. No, he gets blocked by the 51.
He's 2 laps down, not fighting for position here, but he's got to get around him on fresh tires. Doesn't want to get held up. But he is completely boxed in now.
Jason Hamshill joins the battle as well. These guys are completely out of sorts as they go through these corners. Jason Hamshill also on fresh tires. This is going to allow the likes of Passat Jr. alongside Richard. Here they go into 3 and 4 with significant battle on our hands. It might be 3 wide, 4 wide as they go in, but it stays 2.
Ray Richer finally able to get to the inside here, but is this when he's able to complete it? Watch out for Jason Hounshow on the bottom. He's 2 laps down. He was fighting with John LaBaff for position. He's got to get up there and fight with him for 15th. It looks like he's going to get by a little less chaotically than LaBaff got trapped.
We got to go lead because the lead has shrunk significantly. William Hartman is now only half a second now ahead of Brendan Chatley. Brendan Chatley conserving his tires significantly better than Hartman and is now going to put on a challenge here as we come into 11 laps to go across the line this time.
William Hartman fighting for a championship. Brendan Chatley looking for the first win of the season. How much slipstream does he get here? The white flag is in the air. He goes to the outside. He's got a run of momentum through turns 1 and 2. He's caught him in a hurry.
Hartman trying to block him. He's going to do it.
In front of him. He's going to get touched. Chatley's going to hold on the outside. He's going to get by him, no problem.
Hartman's out of fuel. Hartman's out of fuel.
Chatley, does he have enough to coast around? He comes out of turn 4. Out of nowhere, Chatley's going to steal a win here at Kansas Speedway. He gets his first win of the year.
Nicholas Delp is going to come home in second position with William Hartman crossing the line. Oh, just in third ahead of Charles Sumner.
Ray Richer, I believe, is going to hold off Robert Basaw. Basaw is going to drop to the bottom. Photo finish back for 8th. Richer is going to hold him off. Basaw and Richter is trying to coast along here. He's also out of fuel. Oh my goodness.
William Hartman pitted 1 lap before Brendan Chatley, and that 1 lap, all the difference, not only on tire strategy, but also on fuel strategy. What an amazing finish.
We are going to have to step away for just a moment to catch our breaths and clear the storm damage that has just happened here in Kansas. We'll be back with some driver interviews and a rundown of the results, so stick around for that. Welcome back to Kansas Speedway, where if you're just joining us, you're going to want to rewind just a little bit because that was absolutely insane. The last couple laps there, those drivers looked like they were running to the store as fast as possible, especially when they found out that Mother's Day is this weekend. Mother's Day is going to be upon us very soon. And if you want to find a unique gift for mom and do some good at the same time, we have a great option for you. Block Industries employs men and women who need a second chance in life. Block trains individuals in job and life skills. These individuals use the skills they are taught to create unique handmade gifts that mom will love. Block is working to change one community, one life, and one job at a time. Check out their Etsy page at etsy.com/shop/Block Industries and enter the coupon code iRacing at checkout and save 5% on a great gift for mom or for yourself. Once again, that is etsy.com/shop/Block Industries. That's Block, BLOC, no K. And coupon code iRacing to save 5% on your order. You can also see the link on our YouTube page for more information. Well, they got to the store on time. If they're driving like that, Brendan Chatley especially, he didn't run out of fuel. He's going to get the win as we take a look at our results. Nick Delp comes in second. William Hartman, a heartbreaking finish for him. He is down into third. Charles Sumner fourth. Colton Lane fifth. With Adam Zemke, heck of a drive for him tonight from 16th up to 6th in his debut race. He's going to finish there in P6. Like I said, Rob Haynes behind him. Ray Richer going to hold off Robert Basaw Jr. and Mike Richter at the end. Those are the 10 trucks that'll finish on the lead lap.
Yeah, and I can't believe I'm saying this for the second time in 2 weeks. Starting in 11th position is our first lap down truck of Eric Roberts. We got Thomas Sink after his unfortunate running out of fuel going down pit road. Comes home in 12th position, 1 lap down. Jake Hounshell, after having to take another pit stop, comes home in 13th position. Austin Hunter, 14th position. John LaBath, same situation, having to take a second pit stop, comes home in 15th position. Jason Hounshell in 16th position. Alec Lumpkin, 3 laps down in 17th position. Robert Malikian, 4 laps down, 18th. Ronald McManus, 19th. And Jason Eisenhower did not start.
There is our rundown of 20 trucks this evening. We've got a winner to talk to. Brendan Chatley in victory lane for the first time this year. Have you caught your breath yet from that chaotic last couple of laps?
Barely.
Absolutely. Walk us through that last couple laps. Did you have any idea? We knew you were closing. Did you have any idea what you were up against there?
I saw that William went in a lap sooner than me on the pit stop, so I knew that me being out of fuel right as I crossed the finish line, that he was probably a little bit short, even though he saved, I don't know how much, because I caught him from 8 seconds back, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. When you made that pit stop, did you have any idea that it was going to come down to something that close, making a 1 lap later?
I thought so. The pit window, my pit box was telling me about 41, 42 laps, so anyone I thought was going in at 41 was pushing a little bit too hard for that second run. And unfortunately, Thomas tried to push it an extra lap, which didn't help him out.
Yeah, we saw that, just barely able to coast to his line there. That's crazy. Just a mile and a half making that much difference in an 85 lap race. I'm also curious, I mentioned how you're probably not fighting for a championship with only a couple weeks left, but looking back at the points, you're definitely fighting for a 4th place at least. Points in the mind at all at this point in the season, or are you just going for wins?
Definitely points. I know Bradley and William and Rob and usually Thomas too. They're usually up there, so would have been happy with a top 5 points finish for the season, but I'm definitely going to shoot for 4th.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the Chatmobile has finally found victory lane, so congratulations. Is there anyone you want to thank or give a shout out to before we let you go to this evening?
Yeah, first of all, thanks to you guys for putting on a great broadcast. PRL, UTC, my family business, the Waterback guys, and my teammate, Rob.
There you go. It was a fantastic race. Hopefully we get to talk to you in the next couple of weeks.
Thank you.
That was Brendan Chatley, and another driver that we expected maybe to talk to tonight, but probably not for second place. Adam, you've caught up with Nicholas Delp.
Yeah, Nicholas Delp starting back in the 12th position, finishing in the 2nd position. What an impressive drive for you tonight. How'd you do it?
Whew, man, I honestly am not sure. I think it was kind of smooth and steady sailing and capitalizing on some mistakes there from the people in front.
Definitely. When you saw the likes of William Hartman and Charles Sumner coming into the pits on lap 41, and you went around another time, did you know that was going to make such a big difference for your finishing position tonight?
I knew I had to go as far as I could, so I still had a little over 2 laps of fuel in there, so I knew I definitely had to go one more because it looked like it was going to be tough to manage it to the end. So really, it wasn't a thought, but I was kind of surprised I came out that far ahead.
Definitely. And as you cross that finish line, seeing William Hartman slow on the side of the track, like how much of a surprise was that for you that one lap that you pitted later than him really made that much of a difference?
Well, I knew it was going to be close because I was having to save pretty much not the whole second stint, but I would say like the last 20 laps. I was getting off the throttle a little earlier there, and I just barely made it. So I knew that anyone in front of like pitted a lap before me was going to have a really hard time. And then when me and Brendan were catching him, I knew that he must have been saving, but it must just not have been quite enough for him there at the end. And I think I even ran out of fuel maybe a few tenths of a mile before that cross checkered.
Definitely. Well, amazing finish tonight from a great race. Is there anyone you want to thank tonight, Nicholas?
I would just like to thank you guys and PRL for putting it on, and just had a great race with everyone. Happy to see it went green flag the whole way. So just shout out to all the drivers. I think we got some class acts in this league. Thanks again, guys.
I would agree with that for sure. Thanks again, Nick. All right, Nick, the other Nick, has caught up with our third place finisher, William Hartman.
I have indeed. And William, I got to be honest, watching that entire race, I did not expect to be interviewing you for a third place position. Walk us through those last couple of laps.
Yeah, just kind of unfortunate sequence there with pit stops, and man, it's that was a rough race to cross the finish line third after doing so well the whole stint and saving as much fuel as I was able to. Just really unfortunate. I think there at the start that Thomas and I were kind of victims of our own running out there to the lead. For whatever reason, there was no way I could have made it back to 42 to pit, so had to pit a little earlier than those guys and just could not save enough fuel there at the end. So unfortunate, but really good job by Brennan and Nick to save that fuel and make it to the finish.
Yeah, that answers my next question. I was wondering if you knew how close it was on lap 42, like you said there. If Brendan able to stretch it to 43, apparently was able to make that's what made the difference. Did you have any idea at the time that was going to come down to the end, that you had to save on that second stint?
Yeah, so I kind of had figured if I couldn't make 42, I was going to save the whole second stint. So pretty much from lap one, as soon as I got into an opening, I tried to start saving right away. And I was able to save about a lap, but just ended up that half a lap short that I needed to make up. Those guys were able to save enough, and just really, really unfortunate.
Yeah, absolutely. The one good note, though, is unfortunately Bradley Holly couldn't be here tonight. Fortunately, though, for you, you're fighting for a championship. What does that mean for you moving forward the last 2 weeks with only a couple races left?
Yeah, it's a really, really good points night, all things considered. So we got to be happy with that. And that's kind of what my thoughts were at the end. I thought about coming down and putting a splash of fuel in it just to guarantee to make to the finish, but figured at worst I could coast around and get a good points night out of it. So we were lucky enough to get that finish. And
yeah, absolutely. It's going to be one heck of next couple of weeks, that's for sure. Hopefully we get to talk to you once again, but congratulations on your podium finish tonight.
All right. Thanks again, guys, for everything you do.
Yeah, that was William Hartman there for third place. That's going to do it. We want to give a special thank you to everyone who came out tonight for the 8th round in the PRL NASCAR Truck Series. Especially a thank you to everyone who helps in the organization and behind-the-scenes logistics over at the Precision Racing League. We also want to thank Established Traffic Control once again for sponsoring tonight's race, and an additional thanks to all the amazing companies that provide the software and hardware that we use to create a GSRC production for you. We also, of course, want to thank the very talented June Lalonde, who provides our music. See the screen for more on how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team tonight, Adam, Sean, and Dougie. Be sure to check out the GSRC on social media as well. You can do that at our website on globalsimracingchannel.com, on Twitter at GSR Channel, on Facebook at Global SimRacing Channel, on Instagram at GSRC_Graham, and of course on our YouTube channel right here, right now. I invite you to scroll down just a touch and hit that big red subscribe button so you don't miss a second of racing. That's going to do it for the racing tonight here in the Precision Racing League, but that's not all for the racing tonight on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Tonight at 10:30 Eastern, Round 4 of the Sim Racers for Mental Health Truck Series will commence at Martinsville Speedway. And hey, look at the time. The grandfather clock is ticking. I highly recommend you stick around for that. The PRL NASCAR Truck Series will as well be back next Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern for Round 9 at Charlotte Motor Speedway for another great event. Make sure to mark that down on your calendar as well. Finally, with all that being said, thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast tonight. And until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.